Hi, everyone. Hola, buenas noches. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We will be scheduling more community update meetings. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Germán Cerda. I'm the superintendent of Alum Rock Union School District. And so we're going to be we're going to be hosting several more of these community update meetings throughout the semester. It's important that we keep you updated on where we're at with the transition, especially after the school closures. The board voted to close several schools, consolidate schools, and also redesign schools. And so we're going to be providing you with quite a few updates. And one of the things that we've noticed, though, is that we actually have more participants in Zoom, and so we're probably going to host more Zoom meetings, but I'm also going to stop by some of the school sites to host these in person as well, so that I can get to meet some of you, so you can meet some of my staff, and you can also get to ask us some questions regarding where we're at with these school closures and consolidation. So with that, I'm going to give you some updates on where we're at. I do have my team here from all departments, and not all will have updates at this meeting, but we're hoping to give you the latest information as to where we're at with the progress that we're making. So with that, can you please change it to the next slide, please? And so one of the things that I've emphasized throughout this whole process is that, Alum Rock, we're reimagining Alum Rock, right? We really want to, you know, put together a very united vision for this district. And with the consolidation and closure of schools, we are going to now, put our resources into and not spread ourselves too thin. So we're going to be offering quite a few programs, enhancing some of our programs, some of our electives, and so we're looking forward to that. And we're going to have, less schools, but we're definitely looking at maximizing those resources that will better support our students, our teachers, our administrators at the school site level. So. With that, next slide, please. And this is just today's agenda. So I'm going to go over some of the schools that will continue, that will remain open for the 25-26 school year. There's still some confusion around which of the schools are remaining open and which ones are being closed. I'm also going to give you some principal updates. I did make some administrative changes for the 25-26 school year at some of the school sites. So there will be new principals at some of the sites. We're also going to go over the school placement form. This is very important because we want to make sure we know who's returning to our district. And if somebody's having any trouble with their form, with processing it, we're going to provide you with support. The enrollment process, transportation comes up a lot, and also our bond update, because we're going to be utilizing our bond money to enhance our facilities. And so we're going to have Mark Freitas, who will be sharing some information on that. And then also, we're going to share with you the schedule of our future meetings so that you can join us, at the future meetings. Next slide, please. And so these are the schools that are going to remain open for the 2025-26 school year. Again, Adelante 1 and Adelante 2 will remain open. Their principals are going to continue there. Aptitude is remaining open. Hubbard will be changing from a K-8 to or TK-8 to a TK-5. Linda Vista Elementary School will remain open as well. Lindale is also staying open. McCollum as well. Ocala Renaissance Academy at Matson is remaining open. Russo McEntee is also remaining open. San Antonio Elementary and Lucha The Lucha program will continue at San Antonio. So that's a consolidation where you will have San Antonio Elementary and then the Lucha program, which will continue. Ryan STEAM Academy is remaining open as well. Shepherd Middle School is also remaining open, but Painter will also be consolidating there, and we're going to keep the Painter students there at Shepherd, where they're going to be in contiguous space. So Painter will have their wing of classes, and Shepherd Middle School will continue there as well. And then Chavez Learning Center will now be servicing the Alum Rock Union School District Early Learning Center, Kidango, the SCOE program, the Think Together, and also San Juan Bautista Early Child Care. The next slide, please. And so again, these are some of the schools that are remaining open. You did see Renaissance at Fisher and Renaissance at Matson will be a consolidation and will continue at Renaissance at Matson. And like I mentioned earlier, Painter Elementary will be will remain as a consolidation at Shepherd Middle School. And so it'll be Shepherd Middle and Painter and at Shepherd. And there's some confusion around that, so I want to make sure we make it clear. And then Lucha Elementary will be at San Antonio Elementary, and it will be called San Antonio Elementary and Lucha program at San Antonio. Next slide. So these are the principles I mentioned earlier that I made some administrative changes that were approved by the board. The majority of the principals will be continuing at their school sites. I'll start with the ones that are continuing. Adelante, a Dual Language Academy, Adelante #1. Mr. Victor Wendualin will continue. Adelante #2, Mr. Jose Cortez is continuing there. We will have a new principal at Aptitude from Dorsa, which is Kelsey White. Hubbard Media Arts Academy, Dr. Sandra Puerta Sarmiento will continue there at that K-8 school. Linda Vista Elementary School, Suzanne Sicala will continue. I did make a change at Lindo Elementary School with principal from George, Jackie Montejano will continue there. And then at McCollum, I did make a change there as well, and Linda Diaz Sepulveda will be the new principal there as well. And then Ocala STEAM Academy, Sharon Brown will continue as the principal. And then Renaissance Academy at Matson, Danielle Finnan will continue there as the principal. And then Russo McEntee Academy, Tanu Coley will continue as the principal. And then San Antonio will keep her principal as well with Iris Icarest will continue as a principal there. And then Ryan STEAM Academy, Clarissa Johnson Abril will continue there as well. I did make a change at Shepherd Middle School. Both and Painter will continue with Dr. Joseph Manluco. He got his doctorate, so I have to call him Dr. Joseph Manluco. So he will be the principal of the Painter with the dual language program, the Vietnamese dual language program. But I did place Mr. Doug Kleinheitz from Fisher at Shepherd Middle School, and he will be the principal there. And then Dr. Diana Ballesteros will continue at Chavez Learning Center. All right, next slide. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn this over to Assistant Superintendent Sandra Garcia, who's going to go over the emailed school placement letter. This was sent out, I believe it was on December 20th, I think during your first day of winter break. And so she'll go over this process with you as well as the enrollment. So Sandra, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see so many people on our meeting this evening. I just wanted to share a little bit of information, reminders about our school placement letters. And forms that went out to all homes recently. So as Superintendent Cerda mentioned, these did go out on December 20th. It was the Friday, the first day of December break. And you did receive two different notices. One was letting you know that the board had made this decision about the school closures, and the second one was a letter letting you know what school your child was assigned to. And these went out through Parent Square and through email. And then recently there was a mailer that went out to homes of students that had not responded to the Parent Square message that was sent out to you. What we wanted to do is make sure that we receive information from all families of students that are impacted through the school closures. And so we did send out this if you want to call it a school placement letter or intent to return to Alum Rock. And we are asking that every family send this back in to your homeschool or to go onto the QR code on the school placement letter to let us know if your child will be attending the school that they have been placed at. This is really important for all of us here at the district office so that we can make plans for next year in terms of enrollment at schools. We need to do staffing based on the number of students that we have at the different schools. And it really will help us make the plans that we need to make to accommodate all of our students next school year. So as of now, we have about 60%, roughly about 60% of parents that have responded to this placement form. We're asking that everyone respond by tomorrow, actually, January 24th, and that was stated on the correspondence that you received. And as I said earlier, it is really important for our planning purposes to receive this form from all families in Alum Rock. If your child is in a special day class, you will be receiving information on placements separately outside of this process. So please don't be concerned if you have not received information about that yet. We are still working out all of the details on facility placements and placements of our special ed students. So you will be receiving that information separately. If you have not received this information for whatever reason, or you're confused about the information or how to fill out the form, all of our front office staff and our community liaisons have been trained on completing the form. So if you need assistance, please contact your school's front office. And they will help you. They will be happy to help you complete the form. But again, we do want a form filled out for every student in our school district. The QR code is here on the screen. If you want to go ahead and do that now and you haven't taken care of it, please do this before the meeting ends tonight. And if you've received a different school than you would like and you want to request an intra-district form, you can also do that through the QR code there on the screen. So just again, want to reemphasize one more time to please help us with our planning for next school year by completing this school placement form. A little bit more on enrollment for 25-26. You know, no action is needed if you are a current family, but we do want you to complete the school placement form to help us with planning. So you don't need to say, you know, I want to go to this school or that school. I mean, your school is going to remain the same if the school is remaining open, but we do want you to fill out the school placement form for our planning purposes. If you're a new family to our district, you've just moved into the area or just starting school, you can complete the enrollment process online at www.arusd.org /enroll. You can complete the enrollment process in person at our Student Services office here at our 2930 Gay Avenue, or you can call Student Services at 408-928-6945, and they can give you more information on the enrollment process. But we want to make sure that we do enroll all students that are new to the area as soon as possible. Again, this will help us with all of the planning for the new school year. Sergio, did we want to take questions after each section, or how did you want to do that?
Yeah, we have a Q&A at the end, so we'll
Okay.
just kind of put together all the questions. Just
Okay.
want to provide all the information for everyone. I think now we're going to turn it over to our business services division and our assistant superintendent of business services, Teresa de Sales.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have a lot to update you with tonight, but certainly we are working on transportation. And as Ms. Garcia said, we are still working on our special education placements for next year. So our transportation department is going to be working closely with our special ed department to get the special ed students routed for the next school year. And of course, anybody who receives busing in their IEPs will have busing. So we just need to work all of that out. Once that is worked out, we will try to figure out a shuttle service for the general ed students. So again, more to come in future meetings. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, and I will now turn it over to Mark Freitas, our interim bonds chief officer, for the bond updates.
Mark, you're on mute. Sorry.
Thank you, Sergio. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to discuss some of the planned improvements that we'll be implementing during this coming summer. Some of these enhancements will be a fresh coat of paint across all the 13 schools that will be continuing moving forward for the next school year. We'll be installing new digital marquee signs in the front at those school sites that don't currently have one. So we're going to make those a priority. Other enhancements will be in the main front entrances. We want to really spruce those up with some landscaping and irrigation to make it look very inviting for our students and our faculty and community. We'll be doing fencing upgrades to secure our campuses for our students. We'll be planning on doing playground replacements, parking lot improvements and repaving, as well as blacktops, getting a new fresh coat of striping and painting there. So those are just some of the initial items we have that we're working on implementing on this phase one. We will always continue as we have bond dollars. We'll continue to make further improvements, but that's what we have right now on the front burner in this phase one with the goal of implementing this summer. With that, I turn it over back to Superintendent Serta.
Sorry, here we go. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. So these are the future community meetings that we will be hosting. January 23rd. We haven't decided. I think, like I mentioned earlier, we're thinking of hosting some in person and some via Zoom. But depending on the feedback we get from you, we will be scheduling some in person. But right now, these are the dates. January the 23rd. We're skipping President's Week since we're off that week. And so the next one will be February 24th, March 20th, and then April 17th, followed by May 29th, June 18th, and July 24th. And we will be scheduling some in between as well. Depending on the need. And so the more information I think we put out there, the less the anxiety, right, that's going to be out there. So with that, Sergio, I'll turn it over to you so that we can go ahead and take some questions.
Yeah, and so we have a range of questions in the Q&A online. That's the way that we're going to be collecting questions from everyone through the Q&A feature. So please, I know there's a lot of us here today. I want to make sure that everyone is able to get our question answered. So enter that through the Q&A. We'll be going through in that direction. As we're going through it, feel free to give us your feedback and fill out the survey. But I'm going to start with one that's actually pertaining to me and my role, or actually two questions that I think came up, which were around what's our district doing around marketing and recruitment, especially as there are schools nearby that are already recruiting with charter schools. First, I want to say that, yeah, we know that it's a really big focus that we want to make sure our families have the information around our programs and our services. So right now, what I can share is that we're working on providing or updating all our pamphlets per school site, and our principals are actually working on, we're doing a video series that'll be coming up through February. So you'll be seeing some of that material coming out. We prioritized the school placement letter because we wanted to make sure that we had the school placements. We knew how many classrooms we were going to have available, and we've really focused our communications energy on that. But now with that kind of coming to a close tomorrow, we'll be able to expend energy on the enrollment. But we are going to be updating every marketing material that we have for each school site, creating videos per school to highlight the programs for our community, and updating our website, but that'll be a little longer. I will say that as we're working through this, we are a public school system. So our funds and the funds that we have available to market ourselves is not the same as a private charter school system that gets these private funds to do the recruitment campaign. So that's one thing that we're competing against. Some of the banners that you see in the community cost money. So we have a smaller pocket of money, and we have to be smart with the money that we have in how we're doing our communications. So every piece of communication that we're going to be working on is going to be tied to some kind of data that we'll be able to track to make sure, is this getting to what we want? Are we using the money effectively? And so we are having a plan. Next is going to be focusing up on opening the enrollment online so that we can have that available, and that's where we link people to. So that'll be coming in the next month through February so that we can compete. So we do have that, and we do have that as a priority. The next question I have here is around students that are just entering into as a 4-year-old to Adelante. I think this one might be an interesting one. I just enrolled my 4-year-old to Adelante 1 to enter kindergarten for next school year. Are we going to get a placement letter too? Sandra, do you know if you or anyone in your department might be good to answer that? This is for any TK student that's entering the school system next school year as a kindergartner. Do they get those placement letters or do they not?
I'm checking to see if Amy or Jesus is on.
I'm here. So in terms of the Adelante program, they do have a different process because I believe that there is some preliminary testing or assessment that needs to happen. And so that is going to be handled by the school, and we can work directly with them for that. But yes, you should be getting a notice, as well as for the question for the TK and Kinder. We will be sending out notices to all of our families.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question I have here is about actually an exciting development that actually just developed so quickly that we weren't even able to add it into the presentation. Are after school and before school care programs still going to be available at all our schools? And Sandra, this is another Ed Services team question that I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, we will be offering, we're actually going to be adding morning care for all students that need that for next school year. And we will be starting services at 7:30 a.m.
At all sites.
at all sites, and we will offer after-school services as well
Great.
until 6 p.m. at all sites.
Thank you, Sandra.
Yeah. And talk about marketing. That's one thing that our community has been asking for. And for sure, we're going to put an emphasis on that. We have that program now that we know that we're able to offer it. And again, back to what Superintendent Cerda has been sharing about when we're consolidating schools, we're able to offer more programs. Is an example of that. That we have now 7:30 drop off for all school sites. My Zoom is bugging out, so I do want to just note, Mr. Cerda, if you can take over Q&A just in case I get bounced out or someone else can. But the next question I have is for Mark, actually, and this is around the bond committees. Is the bond committee still meeting? What are the updates around that?
Good evening. The bonds committees have been suspended due to lack of obtaining a quorum. And that's one of the things that Sergio and I and Assistant Superintendent DeSellis are working on is recruitment for the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee as well as the Parcel Tax Committee. So we'll be putting up on our website a banner and a link to be able to have volunteers that are interested to sign up for the committee so we can get that back going again.
Great, Mark. And also, if you're interested, I just want to add, if you know, as a parent, community member, if you're interested in being a part of that, please reach out to Mark. You can reach out to me or anybody here, Sandra, anybody here at the district office, and we can follow up with you because we definitely want to have a quorum and we want to hear from you, throughout those meetings. So thank you.
And we can continue with the theme of the bond program, because there are some questions around what kind of facility updates are there going to be. Sorry, that my computer's having issues again.
Was there another bond question? There's a McCollum, Mark, can you answer this one? And it's pertaining to the bond funds. Is McCollum Elementary on the list to have their fences updated for this year surrounding the school? Thank you.
Hello. No, initially, we're focusing on the campuses that have no fencing right now. So that would be Shepherd as one of them. They don't have any back fencing. We did Painter recently. We'll continue to do Painter to get the backside done, completed. And we've done some at Lucha. So we've been focusing first on doing the campuses that lack secure fencing, and then we'll expand out and start enhancing and improving the other school locations that need those improvements.
Yeah, and Mark, can you talk a little bit more, because we talked about phases. Can you talk about prioritizing phase 1, phase 2 with the
Yep.
bondholders?
Yep. So phase 1 are those items that we're really looking to implement this summer and to have, it completed with the goal of being completed by our first day of school in August. So that's what I would define as phase 1. Phase 2 are those things that we're working on now, but will require getting the Division of State Architect, for example, to be involved and approve the process, which adds more time to that project. So some of those phase 2 projects that rise up to the top is preparing, for example, Renaissance Fisher that'll be converting to the Adelante campus. That's about an 18-month long project that we're anticipating. Other improvements are we're going to be working a lot at Shepherd and Painter, renovating restrooms and classrooms, as a matter of fact. And again, those are longer term projects that take more time to complete. But one of the first steps that we're going to do is bring in the portable restrooms to have those ready so that we can begin renovating and remodeling those restrooms that are in real need of upgrade. So that's what I would define as a phase 1, phase 2. Our bond program funds, we've got roughly over $70 million in one fund and another 70 million that we're kind of earmarking for the workforce housing project. But you know, the idea is to utilize those funds and really make some visible improvements and readying our classrooms for our students for the next phase in their educational process, right? And it's what Superintendent Serta has been promising the community, and that's what we're working towards to fulfill.
Great, thank you, Mark. And then there's a question, Sandra, for you regarding or somebody from your team regarding the LCAP dollars to fund the school. How will LCAP dollars be funded to the schools? Additionally, are school councils consolidating their budgets to the new schools?
So the school site councils will, there will be the school site council for the consolidated schools. So if a school is closing, there will no longer be a school site council for that school, and it will now be the school site council of the new school that the students are attending. And then LCAP dollars are allocated to the school sites based on student enrollment. And so there's a formula that is used to determine the allocation of funds for the school site. So depending on the enrollment of the new school, that will be the amount of funding that will be in the LCAP budget for that school site.
So the students, so the money's going to follow the students to their school site.
The money will follow the students.
Thank you, Sandra. And then this is also for your department. How soon will we hear back on the intra-district request? I have not received any updates yet.
So we are waiting to hear back, as I said earlier, from all of our families to determine enrollment at the various school sites. And we are actually meeting tomorrow morning to do our first discussion on enrollment based on those numbers. And we have not responded to intra-districts for that reason. We need to make sure that we have room at the schools that are being requested for the intra-district. So I'm Dr. Almazan. Do you have a date that you think we will be responding on those intra-district transfers?
Our goal is January 31st. However, we will probably be receiving more intras tomorrow. So I would imagine that the majority of our notices will be out by the end of the month. However, there might be some notices that might come out thereafter. But hopefully we can get to all of those intras in a timely manner. Parents, you're always welcome to contact the Student Services Department to get an update on your request. So I can put our number in the chat as well as our email for your convenience.
Yeah, please do. Thank you, Dr. Almazan. And again, the goal, remember that we do have space at our school sites, and so we're hoping to honor. The goal is to honor 100% of the intra-district permits, and once we get to a certain point, we'll notify you. But we're definitely looking at potentially approving all of them. So thank you for your patience. Hang in there, and you'll get some more information by the end of the month.
And I think I'm back I think my internet stabilized a little bit, hopefully. But I'm back. The next question I see, or is more of a comment around involving parents in the promotion process. Absolutely, definitely want to keep you all informed. I would invite you all to, if you would like to be personally involved, to respond to the survey that's on the screen there, and just share your info, share that you would like to be part of recruitment processes, and we can share that with the school site if you'd like to be more involved with the school site through your community liaison, or we can do district level. So thank you for being willing to do
Yeah.
that.
Can I add, Sergio, as well? And like I meant, it's very important. We really want all our students to return, all our families to feel, Alum Rock is a special place, and so I'm gonna join. I'm gonna be walking, canvassing, and knocking on doors if I need to, uh, and that's something I've asked my team. We're all going to go out there and put our comfortable shoes on. We're going to knock on some doors. So this is very important to us. We really want to do, our best in keeping our families and our students here in this very beautiful district. So thank you.
The next question I had was goes into the after school and before school programming, and it's around size of classrooms for those and in terms of capacity. And I think I heard a comment earlier this week from someone else on the team about the capacity for those programs. Sandra, is any, and I wonder if anyone else might be there.
Yeah, we have
Share about that.
Lupe is on the call. Lupe, do you want to respond to that?
Is she on?
Yeah, she's on. Or Kyla?
Let me
What is that? What is the exact question? I can answer it as well.
That if sorry, that if there that what would the capacity be for after school and before school programs? Because I think the worry is that they might not have a spot in those programs.
Sandra, I was able to unmute. I was locked where it wouldn't let me unmute. I can unmute.
Go ahead, Kyla.
We will be also sending out a interest survey towards the end of the year for staffing. Everybody who wants to be in the program will be allowed to be in the program. So as soon as we know how many, we will staff for that. So we really want to start staffing at the end of this year for next year. If we have overflow at the beginning of the year, we may have to wait 2 to 3 weeks just to hire on the staff to make sure everything's safe. But our goal is for every student that wants the care will receive that care.
Got it.
So as soon as that interest form goes out, we need it back as soon as possible.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyla.
Yeah, and the next one is around our social emotional support, and I see that Dr. Anya Artigas is on the call. I shared this might be more related to that, or Sandra, if this might be for you. How are we addressing the social emotional development and impact that school closures might be having on students and this change? The question is, what kind of resources are there to support?
Yes, I can definitely respond to that. But if Dr. Artigas, are you on the call?
I am on the call, and I'm going to apologize because I am doing this from home. Yes, I am on the call, and the way that we are responding to it, we've already had a lot of social emotional curriculum working in our various schools for any student that's in the elementary programming. They have access to Komochis, and Komochis is really strong about talking about feelings, both positive feelings and feelings that are uncomfortable. And then in terms of our middle school sections, all of our students in middle school have access to an SEL check-in weekly through Sown to Grow. There's also lessons that are attached to it. That's just one component of the social emotional learning piece. We are currently working as a team to build out transition presentations. We did some of that early on, because the one thing that happens with transition and change is that sometimes it can cause issues for children around grief and or loss. And so we rolled out presentations at the beginning of the school year, guidance lessons. We're going to continue to build them out, and they will be delivered by counselors, teachers, as well as our clinicians in the wellness centers. So it's an ongoing process in terms of building out.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think there's also questions about there's more specific questions about addresses and where people live. And I think just in general, just want to provide some context. There was also updates to the school boundaries, and the boundary maps were updated, and your school placement letter kind of reflects that. And I think at the moment, if you contact your school site, they can help you figure out which school you've been assigned to based on those addresses. And I think in general, that might be the best way to answer that question for now. Because I think there's a lot of moving pieces to that, unless Dr. Almazan, you would like to add on any information there.
She added the phone number for student services and the email address. So if parents have specific questions about their boundary school, you can reach out by phone or by email.
So I also see another series of questions, and this has to do with there's the intra-district transfer when someone in the district wants to move to another school in the district, but then there's the inter-district transfer when someone in our district wants to move to another district. And the questions and kind of seem to center around like what are my options, and in terms of leaving the district, what would that look like?
I can answer that, Sergio. So right now, as of right now, I've currently I did put a freeze on inter-district permits to outside of the district. There's always confusion around what's an inter and what's an intra. The inter is you leaving our district, and due to our current fiscal crisis, I am reviewing, or I'm having student services, Dr. Almazan and Jesus, review each of the inter-district permits that are being submitted. And if there are extenuating circumstances, then that's something that will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. The other one is if there is an what's that law, Dr. Ramazan? An Allen
It's an
bill?
Allen bill.
The Allen bill, for example, if you work in a particular area or where it's outside the district, there is ed code around that, and we've actually exceeded the number of inter-districts that we've approved. So I've also put a hold on those. But again, submit it. We will review them on a case-by-case basis, and feel free to email me as well. Email, you have the contact information for student services if you have any additional questions. The other thing that I wanted to add that I forgot to mention regarding the inter-district permits, if it is a continuing inter-district permit where you've already been approved and you're already attending Berryessa or another district, and then there's a sibling, we're going to consider those and potentially approve them, but go ahead and submit them. Thank you.
Great. So the next question I think was around there's interest in figuring out for the merging schools and for the schools that are going to be bringing in a lot of new students. We talked earlier about that we're asking parents to fill out these school placement forms to figure out that staffing and what that's going to look like. And I think the questions is around the facilities specifically. How are those schools going to be bringing in new students when there's this? I want to just note that a rumor that there's no capacity in that school to bring students in. Can you share a little bit about the process through that consolidation and why it'll work?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Sandra Garcia. Yeah, there's these rumors out there that there's no space, that you're consolidating schools, there's not going to be enough students. And each school has an operational capacity, and we're basing it on the number of rooms. But I'll turn this over to Sandra because she put together a schedule and has been meeting with each of the principals, so she'll explain that process about her school walkthrough. So I won't take the thunder from you.
Thank you. So we have been having facility walkthroughs with the principals of the schools that are remaining next school year, that will remain open. And as Superintendent said, mentioned, each school has a capacity for student capacity for each school. And we have been looking at the current use of the classrooms and looking to see how many classrooms will be available at each school for new students, so that we can accommodate the new students. And so far, we are able to accommodate. Like I said earlier, we're looking right now at students that could be enrolling from other schools into the schools based on the board decision that was made. And we are able to accommodate those students at all of our schools that are remaining open. And we shouldn't have a problem with any of the schools that will remain open. As we get more firm enrollment numbers, we'll continue to work with the principals to ensure that students do have a classroom. But we shouldn't have a problem at all.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandra.
And I'm also getting a series of questions in the chat, actually, around Adelante 1 and 2's merger, because I think that's the only school that the merger was moved over to the 26-27 school year. And so there's just kind of some questions around that. And I think just in terms of what is it going to look like for families this coming school year in 25-26? Is there, how do I put this? What information should families at Adelante know now so that they can be prepared for this coming school year?
Yeah, the board voted to keep Adelante 1 and Adelante 2 open for the following school year, which is the year 25-26, which begins this coming August. So Adelante 1 and 2 will continue. But throughout the year, we're going to be working closely with Adelante 1 and 2 because they will be transitioning to the Renaissance at Fisher school site that can actually hold more than 1,000 or close to 1,100 students. And so we're going to be providing more. And remember, and it'll only be Adelante 1 and 2 next year. And so we're going to be holding some meetings. I did have a couple of parents that approached me that would like to see a committee. So that's something that I'm considering. And so having maybe a group from each of the school sites where we could put together a well-represented committee from both of the sites so that we can get the input from you as we plan to transition into the new school site. And you'll be getting updates. We will be using some of our bond funds to improve the facilities. We're identifying which of the classrooms will need the new restrooms construction so that they're ready for the 26-27 school year when Adelante 1 and Adelante 2 will combine. So expect that. That's what you should expect. And that will be more like a super Adelante, because the goal is to grow the dual languages program. I mean, both school sites are bringing in more than about 250 or so families from outside of our district. And so we want to grow it. We want to continue to grow programs that are working here in Alum Rock because we want to attract families from everywhere. And so same with the dual language Vietnamese language program as well. We want to grow those programs because those are very unique, very important programs that are serving our community and our students. So thank you.
And the next question is around any families that are in the district from another district. They wanted to, it seems like the question is around clarity for what does that family that's in our district from another district boundary need to do this year so that they can continue attending our schools?
I'll turn this over to Dr. Almazan or Sandra, if you're on.
I would say that you need to you need to go to your home district, your boundary district, and you need to complete the inter-district transfer as soon as possible. Many times families will wait and until the summer to do this, but we're asking for you to do that as soon as possible. So again, we can make plans for the new school year. And that gives us information that is really important in terms of staffing and, you know, making sure that the classrooms are ready for all students that are enrolled in our school district. So yes, you would go to your home school, you would complete the intra-district transfer to continue in our school district.
So in other words, we want you back. So make sure you complete that. We want you back in Alum Rock.
Yes.
And one final question before we do a round of closing thoughts from the cabinet and from the assistant soups, just a final question around transportation. We know that you all are working on the special education component to make sure that those students are prioritized, but when can families expect an update on what those options might be?
You want to take this one, Sandra, and then Teresa, you can jump in.
So I know that we have our first meeting tomorrow to, like I said earlier, see what the enrollment is looking like at all the different schools. We are having a conversation about special ed transportation services and the rerouting of students if there are schools placements that are going to be changed. And so I think once we have that information, then we can get more solid information from our transportation department on what other services they have the capacity to offer in our school district. And then we can roll out information to our families on what that looks like for next school year. Teresa, do you want to add anything?
Ms. Garcia said it very well. I think we will be able to have more information for you at the next community update because that is a month away. We will be working very hard in the next month to look at those enrollment numbers, as Ms. Garcia said, and hopefully have the special ed students tentatively routed so then we can figure out the capacity for the general ed students. So we are hoping to have a pretty good update for you for at the next community meeting.
And also just to add to that, you know, that's a department that we're not making any cuts to because we want to hold on to our transportation. And so we definitely want to offer some form of transportation to our families so that, you know, we can address the you know, the transportation concerns and safety concerns that we're hearing from families. The other thing I wanted to share with you that I since the transportation and or you know, getting to and from school is a concern. I met with Mayor Mahan prior to going on winter break, and so we had a conversation around, you know, the crosswalk guards, getting them from, since we're closing some of the sites, getting some of those crosswalks and or adding them to some of the routes at some of the schools that will continue to remain open. And so we were getting some very positive and great support from Mayor Mahan. So that's something we're working on as well, and we'll have more information for you as we continue to get updates. So thank you.
Thanks. And before we close, just want to remind everyone, please give us your feedback using the community feedback form. The link is on the screen there, and that's the QR code for you all to fill out. But I'm just going to do a round of closing thoughts, and we'll start with Sandra. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I just want to just let everyone know that we're busy working on making sure that we have a good transition into the new year. We have a wonderful staff here in Alum Rock. Everyone is doing a lot of extra work just to make sure that we are addressing all of the needs that come with the transition. I want to encourage you to, if your school is closing, to look out for opportunities to visit the new school. We know that we have our principals that are working together to set up opportunities for parents to come to events or tours of the new school so that you can come and see what your new school is all about. And so please take advantage of those and come by. We have a lot of really good things that we're offering, and we're looking forward to offering even more VAPA music and art opportunities next year at our schools. So just get involved and stay tuned for opportunities to visit the new schools.
Well, Cesar, Teresa. Then I'll turn it over for Herman for the final word for us and close this out.
Yeah, thank you, Cedric. I just want to thank all of you who were here today. Again, like I mentioned, Alum Rock is a very special place. I'm very excited for the future. Yes, we had to close schools, but we're moving forward, and we're working on this transition and making it a smooth transition so that we're ready for opening in August. And we're looking forward to really just taking off with this reimagined Alum Rock. So thank you, everyone. And yeah, have a good night.